Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I will be building a large floating island with a little pottery studio on it. I was inspired by RebelLug's recent collab that featured lots of floating islands that are somewhat similar to this. I had this old sketch sitting around that I thought would be a good starting point. It was a little small, so I decided to re-sketch some of it. Initially, the plan was to have 3 buildings, a large tree in the middle, and the island base would be an L shape. It would also have some smaller islands off to the side. Throughout the build process though, I realized that I wouldn't be able to fit all of that onto the island. I wouldn't have enough pieces to create all the rock work, and I didn't want it to be that big. So the final product will only have one building on the right, which is the Pottery Studio. The large tree is still there, and the left side of the MOC will no longer have these 2 structures, and instead there will be a dock and a floating boat. After cleaning up my workspace, it was time to start building. I begin by placing down some large plates and connecting them with bricks and other plates. This base will be a nice jumping off point that I can build the rock work around. I then add a lot of snot bricks around the entire base so I can build out the rock work on the sides. Once I have the snot bricks up, I start adding plates to the side of those and begin the rock work using various sizes of slopes and wedges. This rock work was really tedious and hard to get everything to match up, but I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. Once that part of the landscape is mostly done, I started filling in the back with filler brick and plates to make the entire top of the MOC flush with the landscape on the sides. This will just make building off of it a lot easier. Now that the gray rock work is built up, it is time to move on to the lime green and medium nougat landscape. I also used a couple other secondary colors like dark brown, olive green, dark red, and dark orange. I used various slopes, cheese slopes, tiles, and plates. I also added some stepping stones using dark bluish gray tiles and rounded tiles. While building the landscape, I had an idea to use these lime green katana pieces as long grassy plants. I left gaps in the build where I could slot these katana pieces in, so it looks like they are growing organically out of the landscape. Moving on to the building, I started out by using small tan arches and white rounded pieces that fit perfectly flush into the arches. I positioned these sideways and it created a really cool looking design. I also added a door using the snot technique. A lot of the building is just held into place by friction. Once the walls were up, it was time to move on to the roof. I wanted a slightly angled sand green roof. I did add some weathering to the roof using dark bluish gray bricks. I also added a little chimney and used a white Spider-Man web piece and a white horn piece as the smoke. Now that the Pottery Studio was finished, I moved on to building the dock. I used a combination of reddish brown and dark brown colors. I used hinge bricks on the bottom to create the angled wall of the dock. I really like how this effect turned out. I then added some gold lanterns, some fence pieces, and some wooden beams for the boats to tie up to. The next step is I need to build up the final bit of landscaping on the back of the MOC. Again, I used various tiles, slopes, wedges, and chi-slopes. I built it up first with bricks, and then add the slopes onto those. This makes the build very strong and stable. The colors I used were reddish brown and dark brown. These colors will blend in nicely with the base of the tree. I used larger wedge bricks for the base and trunk of the tree. I also used some brown wire pieces and other brown vine pieces to give the tree some more texture. For the tree branches, I used large macaroni pieces and other bar pieces. I then added lavender leaves to fill out the tree. After that, most of the build is done, and now I just need to add some small accessories and minifigures. I added some little pots and bowls that the owner of the Pottery Studio made. I also added some minifigures and a little dog. Lastly, I added the boat I made off screen. The boat was inspired by the Thor Love and Thunder set. I didn't love the movie, but the set sparked a little creativity in me. Now that the MOC is complete, I take photos in my Lightbox and edit them in Photoshop. Before I move on to the final pictures, this image right here shows every single color of Lego brick that was used in the making of this MOC, excluding the boat.